Hi, everyone. Colleen here. Welcome. How's your day going? I am just sitting down to record this lovely video for you because I posted a mental deposit today. So, if you are new here, I recorded a video a couple videos ago about what we can do every single day to optimize our being. And I highlighted three very specific arenas of our life that we get the most reward from, of finding out who our truest of true self is. And that was movement, mindset or mental, and community, relationships. And so I posted and did a video about movement, and here we are at mental. And I use the word mental because I feel like everything these days is like mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. And it's kind of just like, it's too much. Like, we all know that we should be more mindful, but like, what is that in actuality? And oh, I see on the camera that I have an eyelash and I like feel it. Did I get it? Oh, I got it. And the eyelashes just be popping out, landed on the glasses. And I like the word mental because that's what it is. It's like mental and emotional well-being. And the post today, like the words of the post, were about these whispers that we experience within our bodies and these voices that we hear, you know, in our moments of pause or in our moments of extreme emotional expression, or right before we're falling asleep, as we're driving down the road, you know, mindlessly driving. You know, these whispers that come up, and you know, what are they? What are they telling you? What are they asking of you? And, you know, hopefully they're positive. But they may be asking you to do things that you're like, what is this? And sometimes they've always been there and you've just ignored them. Maybe they've come up recently and you've ignored them. Or maybe they're new and you're just kind of curious to what it is that it's all about. And I think the biggest thing, firstly, to recognize is that you are now honing your awareness skills, because you're now becoming aware that you are this observer in your body and in your mind, and you are witnessing thoughts move, you know, in and out rapidly, on repeat, whatever your movie is in your head that's playing. You're witnessing that. And then you're also witnessing when your body experiences emotions and responses to things that happen to you in your day. So when you have that awareness, you start to understand that you are not those things. You are not the thoughts, and you are not the emotions. You are just a being in this very physical body. This physical body is experiencing those things. The mind is thinking about those things or replaying those memories. But in this present moment, you are an observer just watching those things happen, like it literally is a movie. And so there's power in that understanding. Now, it becomes another layer when we start to talk about these whispers. And when I say that, these small voices, and when other people say, you know, small voices or whispers or, you know, random thoughts that kind of hit you a different way, we like to believe that those are associated with your inner wisdom, and they could be gut feelings. They could be thoughts and emotions that just feel and land differently than the barrage of thoughts that are chaotically running through your mind all the time. And those are the things that I am speaking to with this video and in my latest post of a mental deposit. Those things that are coming from your inner wisdom, maybe you believe in God or goddesses or the divine or the universe that's speaking through you, whatever you want to associate, whatever belief you want to associate with it. Cool. At the end of the day, no matter what path we as individuals take to arrive at the answer, it's always the same. It's always the wisdom from within or from whatever, or a little bit of both. And there's answers there. So when people are talking about how you should listen to yourself, not listen to other people to tell you what to do or to make decisions about or whatever, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about you tuning into what feels right in your home, your body, and your mind and your soul, and going with that, because that's true. That is truth. And so when I talk about deposits, originally it was thinking about your life as a bank account, and your every minute of every day, you can choose to put in deposits that are going to add up over time. You're going to build that interest, and it's going to accumulate and keep snowballing health-wise. But you can also do things that withdraw from that bank account, and that's going to have negative health consequences in the present moment or long term. And so when I talk about deposits, this is what I'm referring to. What are we doing in every moment, every hour, every day over this lifetime that we have to keep waking up and feeling good and feeling awesome and like we're living with purpose and living with truth and harmony and compassion and doing the right thing for ourselves and our family and our community? What does this take in this day and age? And so as I was brainstorming, I wrote the post and I wrote the content for the post, and then I started brainstorming on my whiteboard that's like down below the camera. That's what I'm looking at and referring to. I started brainstorming like what this actually means. And I listened to a wonderful podcast this morning called Rewilding for Women. And I was listening to her podcast, and she's beautiful. I will link that podcast in the show notes. And she talked about what are you being called to do within your capacity, and what you choose, what you lean into being called to now might change in 5 minutes or 5 days, because we're ever, flowing through and processing through our experiences and our thoughts and our stories and our day-to-day experiences. And she talked about it as, she named it your capacity, but I'm calling it your like small voice, the whispers of, they're not necessarily screaming at you. They may get to that screaming level where you're constantly feeling like, I just constantly feel pulled to go for a walk outside, but I ignore it because I have so much work to do, or I need to do stuff for the kids, or I can't go outside because it's too cold, or whatever the excuses are that you keep ignoring that voice and that thing, but it keeps coming up. And this small voice, this small whisper may turn into a shouting to where you can't ignore it anymore, or it manifests into like stomach aches or low back ache or chronic neck tension or something else. Energy is always going to become stuck if you don't move it. And your body, your nervous system, your subconscious physical body is going to ask for things. It may become like anxious or itchy or just like not content sitting any longer. And that's your body asking for movement. Your mind and your soul and your deep knowing wisdom may come out as words and say, what about this? Or go out, or nature, woods, whatever. It may ask for something literal. And it may be very like fleeting. For me, whenever I have like intuition, it's very like instantaneous. It's fleeting. It just pops in and pops out. It's not right like a regular thought where I know my mind is having that regular thought. And I started thinking like, what happens? Why is this even a conversation, right? Why am I even talking about this? Because I see it so often that I see it after everything gets pushed away. So I see what's been ignored. And now, because I'm in movement and strength and conditioning, it's been, I didn't put myself first for so many years. I ignored my body's call to get moving. I ignored doing this, coming in, getting professional help, getting personal training, coming to the gym, whatever it is. I ignored it. I said no to it. I chose not to because I didn't value myself. I didn't value the service. I couldn't afford it. My partner said no. It was uncomfortable to move my body because I felt like it didn't deserve to move, or that it couldn't move, or that it didn't need to. Like, I have been on the other end of when women have finally said yes to listening to themselves, and then that's the space. But before that, there were days and months and years that went by where that call was ignored. And we ignore those curiosities, in my experience, for a couple of reasons. The first is we ignore it for comfort. So we don't do new things because we are comfortable doing what we're doing. So we're not willing to take the risk to get uncomfortable because that feels too different than my current state of being comfortable, even though my current comfort, like I put my mouse is in my other hand. I put comfort in quotes because that thing that's comfortable is probably your downfall. It's not moving, not eating well, not joining a community and being around other people. It is comfort because it is what you know, not necessarily because it is good for you. It's just like starting new habits. They're hard because the discomfort of starting a new habit is uncomfortable. There's no other way to put it. So we ignore these inner wisdoms and these calls to action for the betterment of ourselves because, number one, it's uncomfortable. Number two, we choose to stay in the known. We know exactly what's going to happen when we make this choice, even though this choice is uncomfortable or this choice is unhealthy for us. We know the outcome. We know A plus B equals C. My legs are starting to fall asleep, so I have to switch because I'm sitting on the ground like usual. So we choose to stay in the known because we know the recipe that is going to occur. Again, just like staying inside your comfort zone, the unknown, the other side of it, is where the magic is going to happen. But it's way too much to even consider going into the unknown because there isn't necessarily a mathematical reason behind it. It is scary. It's like walking into a dark cave and all you have is like your lighter and your torch and you're just like, okay, here we go. Let's see what fucking happens. And you have to have a lot of trust in yourself to understand that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay stepping into that unknown. And that's something that we have to cultivate and have support for, but not a lot of us do. So going into the unknown, going into the discomfort are very similar, and they both require trusting ourselves to, no matter if we trip and fall, we fail, we embarrass ourselves, we can't figure it out right away, which is totally okay. Everything's going to take time, but we know that we got it. And the reward of failing, but learning and then doing it again, the learning curve of everything in life, that has to be drawing you somehow. There has to be curiosity of, what am I capable of achieving? And I want to be in that path. Because if you're not curious as to what you are capable of, you're not going to do anything to try and make yourself better, healthier, smarter, more intelligent, a better speaker, a better writer, a better artist, a better athlete. None of that would happen. And you can just shut off the video now, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about mental deposits that over the long run will make you a healthier human being. And how we get there is through listening to ourselves and what we truly are being called to do. This plays into the next, because a lot of us do what we should be doing. Little bunny ears, they're cute. We do things because we think we should be doing them. In the movement world, I see people doing movements that they see on Instagram because that fit person who's genetically gifted is doing those workouts and they're getting results. So they think that they should be doing that Instagram account's workouts because that's what they should be doing to get fit. But that doesn't make any sense, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other. Or it will only get you so far before you start to hate it. And that's where I see a lot of people hit plateaus and they get burned out, is because we don't seek the unique or different style of movement. For me, what I think most of us need in this world is some form of Tai Chi and martial art practice over CrossFit. We need to slow down and be in flow movement practices like mace work, or a lot of kettlebell gyms have really beautiful flow workouts. That style of movement is what we need right now in this moment for our culture, not more hammering and high intensity and HIIT workouts, because that's just meeting the anxiety of our life. If our head is constantly chaotic and go, 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 and we got to figure this out, we got to be on this timetable, we have this schedule, we got to do it, your tendency is going to be to meet that anxiety level like equal pressure system. So you're going to want to meet that anxiety with HIIT training, gyms that are like loud music, high intensity intervals, CrossFit, typical CrossFits, where it's very much of like, all right, time to go hard or go home. But if we're go, go, go all the time in our regular life, that's causing us mental and emotional issues, health issues, injuries, body issues that may be like coming out of nowhere. Why are we choosing? Like, why are more people not standing up and saying, all right, if we're getting a lot of nervous system stimulation, then we probably should do something that is more on the opposite end of the spectrum to balance this out. So that's where I'm taking a stand. And I know a lot of practitioners are out there, but it is not yet the mainstream norm of that mentality. And I would also classify that we need more proper yoga, because I've seen and I've practiced myself a lot of yoga that was not properly taught. Just like there is a lot of movement and strength and conditioning that is not properly taught. And so I challenge everyone to do their research with their studio, their coaches, their instructors, try different facilities, find one that feels good to you, that is welcoming and compassionate, and their instructors and their coaches are educated anatomy wise. They know if you have injuries, how to modify. They know if you're pregnant, they know how to modify, or postpartum, whatever. Like, seek out and interview intellectual movement professionals, because you deserve the best and you should not settle for someone who's mediocre or not highly educated. With that said, seek out movement that your body is asking for. If you are doing something that is so high intensity and you are hating going to the class or showing up for the training session, that's your body telling you something and you should listen to it. You can say no. You can say, hey, I want to take a break because something doesn't feel right. You can make that choice. Absolutely make that choice, because you should not be doing something because you think you should be doing something. That doesn't add up. You are not listening to yourself and what you really want to be doing. Like, this is your life. Choose what feels good to you. And that brings me into my fourth point of don't do something because someone told you to do it. When we're growing up, our parents usually tell us what we should be doing because they're our caregivers. Our parents or our caregivers or guardians are telling us what to do. And then we grow up and our friends start to tell us what to do, and society starts to tell us what to do, and culture and all of that fun stuff. And again, it takes away from us actually listening to what we want to do. And it may be in direct conflict with what someone told us to do. I think the classic like show and movie expression of this is, the person that grinds it through law school and becomes a lawyer, and then something in their life happens and they learn that they want to be something completely different. They want to be like a humanitarian or an artist or whatever is deemed as like a lower class profession, and then they have to they struggle because all their life they've been told that they have to be a lawyer, and they're gonna let their parents down if they choose something different. And it's that same old story. Like, that story is constantly repeated through shows and movies because it's life. Like, I've met a lot of people who've had that midlife crisis, and all that is that they chose something in their earlier life that was either because they thought that they should be doing it or because they were directly told that they need to do it. And so they did it, and they didn't listen to their passions and their wisdom and what they actually were being called to do because it was deemed as unworthy or lesser than whatever their experience was. And so now they're finding their way back home and into their truth and like what truly makes them feel alive. And it's amazing. And I want that for you and for everyone watching this video, is that we don't have that much time. So let's get clear on what we actually want right now and start making the steps towards actually making that into fruition. That was a weird sentence. Take steps to make that, to bring that into fruition sooner rather than later. There we go. I can get it. Words sometimes. And my offering for you is simple. Reduce the noise that you surround yourself with. Noise being whatever you're watching me on right now, a computer or a tablet or a phone. Get those out of your face as much as possible. It sucks because so much now is being forced upon us to like work from home or do school from home for kids and students. But when you're not doing the required work on a screen, you need to get the noise of the addiction of social media and games on your phone, the dopamine hits, like the fast reward dopamine hits that is literally like crack in your brain. It just wants more and more hits of it. You have to get that out of your presence. And it can be hard. There are withdrawal symptoms from your phone. It's been studied. It's crazy. But anything on a screen, you have to get that noise out of your surroundings. Anything that doesn't bring you joy in your surroundings, clean it up, donate it, throw it away. Your environment is an external world of what your internal world is like. So I've seen this time and time again. When people have a lot of like anxiety and just chaos going on in their minds, their homes are filled with clutter and just stuff. Like it's like the act of buying something brings them that fleeting moment of joy and like power. And then their home just starts to fill up with this stuff. But it's like, it's okay for that person because their mind is like that. And so they don't necessarily have like issue or agitation with it. But maybe the other people in the home do because they're not like that. Or there comes a day where like the weight of that stuff, like there's just so much stuff. Like you have to think everything has energy, right? And so when you're in a home that's filled with a lot of stuff, that's constantly like your brain is aware of that. Your nervous system, your subconscious is aware of all of that stuff. And it's pulling on you. Like that's pulling energy out of your battery to acknowledge and see that stuff all around you. And so that's where, you know, Marie Kondo and like cleaning up and donating and organizing your home, that's why it's so powerful, because we as human beings love to be organized and to have order, of course. So if you are disordered in your mind, of course you're going to create disorder in your environment, but that's not helping you make those positive steps that you need to moving forward in your life of trying to be your most optimized, healthy self. I think of it as if you have a very cluttered, disorganized spice cabinet or spice rack, and every time you go to make food, you're constantly like picking up the spice and like looking at it, and because it's not labeled properly, and so you have to put it back down and pick up another one to see, like you're having to like pick up all these things and look at them, and then like you just throw them back, or you just keep the pattern going of like chaotically throwing them back where they came from. But you're spending so many minutes every time you make food looking at these spices. And that's taking away from all of those minutes that you could be spent accumulatively, all those minutes that you could have been doing, meditating, reading, going for a walk, exercising, spending time with loved one, playing a game. Like these minutes add up. And it's like, why do you want to go through the agitation every time you make a meal to constantly search for all these different spices when you could just either Sharpie or get a label maker and figure out a way to row your spices out, change them in orientation. Maybe they're in a drawer, but they need to go on the wall, or maybe they're in a cabinet and they need to go in a drawer or on a spice rack on your counter, whatever you have the space for. Like Pinterest that shit. There's probably 1,000 ways to like organize your spices and like label them, because now when we changed that pattern, it's like food, grab the exact spice that you want, pour it on, put it back. You literally removed so much energy expenditure and thought processes into shuffling through the shit, where now you're like, boom, boom, done. You're effective. It's way more effective. Clothes, are they effectively like in their drawers, or are they in piles? And then you have to like search through the pile, search. And you're like, oh my God, I can't find the one sock and I'm late. Like, why? Like, why are you choosing that? If you could just spend 5 minutes after the laundry was out of the dryer, put the laundry away so that when it was come time and you're like late, you're like, boom, sock drawer, got my socks, I'm out the door. Like, these are just super small things, and I'm using very basic examples, but reduce the noise and the extra energy expenditures that you're choosing to participate in. Like, really look at your day-to-day life and how can you be more effective so that you're literally gaining time in your day because you're reducing the noise of everything else. I know every single person who is like, oh, I would just had a break and I put the baby down to nap, or I had a moment for lunch and I opened up Instagram and boom, 40 minutes have gone by and I'm like, great, I just spent 40 minutes doing nothing. Ugh, why do I do this? Like, everyone's regretted going down the Instagram rabbit hole. And that was just us, like, it's so brainwashing, but it's like that those hits of like maybe positivity, maybe negativity, whatever it is for you as an individual. But that is noise. That is literally keeping you from reaching whatever goal it is that you have for yourself in that moment, for that day, for that week, for that month, for that year. And so this is all just noise distracting you. So how can you be more effective in your day? What in your life that it feels agitating or annoying or frustrating, can you clean it up? Can you be more efficient with it? And can you really start to examine your habits of screen use so that you can gain time to read the book, practice the instrument, practice the art, choosing things that allow those whispers of curiosity and like your well-being to come to fruition. That's what this is all about. This whole conversation is just about how to listen and make room for you to be you and to be like the realest you that you can possibly be in this present moment. And that is what is going to help you have the best life for as long as you possibly can on this planet Earth. I'm done. If you enjoyed these rantings, I love it. Thank you for joining me and watching. I appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please share with other humans that you know, and follow me on the Instagram. Not too often though. Don't want you going down those rabbit holes. I'm at Wilderness Bay and I record videos every week, and I'm definitely on the Instagram as much as I can be. I really don't like to be on there a ton of my time in the day, but I know it's the game that I have to play, so I play it as minimally as possible these days. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you learned anything, please drop it in the comments or private message me on Instagram so we can have a conversation about it. I would love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day or evening. I'll talk to y'all soon.